Hey guys, it's Ryan here with HobbiesofaMan. Once again, and today we're going to be finishing up the story for Justice League vs. Godzilla vs. Kong with Volume 7. This was actually quite a good ending for the series. However, you know, like I usually have issues with these types of series, the pacing is odd. If you read it all in one go, it's probably fine, but month to month, it just feels really unbalanced. However, this did manage to land, stick the landing to make sure that the saying is correct, and so I'm willing to forgive it. And I would give this whole series like a 3.5 or 4 out of 5. But I do think that the middle issues kind of suffered a bit, right? Especially like issue 3 and 4 were probably the weakest, if I remember correctly. But the story, issue number 7, no changes to the art and story team, at least from the last issue. Although, if I remember correctly, this is a different team from the ones that started this series, right? So, at least the artist is different, if I remember correctly. So, take that how you will. It is a little bit noticeable, but it's not so jarring that it like completely ruins the reading experience. It's just like a little bit like, oh, okay, whatever, man. So it's kind of that feeling. And it opens with Lois yelling about Clark leaving or disappearing, right? Then in a big flash of sunlight, Clark appears. There's a sweet moment between Clark and Lois, which is quite good. I really, really liked it. And then we get told how Clark fixed himself. Apparently, he wasn't dead. He was like in a bit of a coma. He needed a certain way to pick himself up that isn't like your usual Kryptonian healing coma or whatever. And they managed to do that, whatever it was that they needed to do. Good stuff. It all works out really nicely. Then we transition over to Deathstroke, who's with Cheetah, who they're trying to find Toyman and are not able to do so. And then they can't find the Dreamstone or whatever either. So they're kind of upset. They're angry, but it is what it is. We come back to Metropolis, where there's this big badass fight going on. Continuing on from the previous issue, there's this amazing spread of all the characters fighting, which is awesome. Then Guy is killed. His ring is gone, and we get to see this ring kind of floating throughout several panels before it lands on a character's hand. And I'll tell you that in a second. But before that, we get to see Kong and Beast Boy team up. Beast Boy becomes King Kong sized. There has to be a problem with that, because I feel like that is significantly larger than anything he's ever transformed into. But then again, in the Titans, series that's going on right now, he did transform into a giant star monster. So I guess King Kong is not that big a deal, but I feel like there's a problem with that. And they team up to fight the League of Assassins, Skull Kicker or Dragger thing. I can't remember what the name of those things is called, but they fight against it. Then the Batman sword is fighting Mechagodzilla, which is right there, which is awesome. And then Superman shows up to where Shazam is to save him. They hug and they end up providing backup for the rest of the battle. When Superman decides to leave because he has to go do something really quick, and he decides to go get Godzilla. He goes to the ocean. He talks to Godzilla. Godzilla doesn't really understand what's going on. He doesn't want to reason. But Clark manages to make it follow him to Metropolis, where he's going to end up fighting all of the other Titans because they're more problematic than Clark is, right? So that's happening. The tide of the battle changes. They're losing again. And this is when the Green Lantern ring goes onto onto King Kong. And we get to start to see that as the Green Lantern Zord goes back up. They combine forces again. They make the Zord happen. And really awesome stuff. Godzilla shows up. And the fight continues. And there's really awesome stuff. And then King Kong manages to murder or destroy the Mechagodzilla. If I remember correctly, Godzilla and Superman killed the League Titan. And then they managed to beat all of the other Titans into submission, and the story manages to wrap up from there. We get this really nice moment with Clark and Lois where they decide to get married, which is the inciting incident for the whole book at the beginning. And overall, really good stuff. I really, really enjoyed this issue specifically, and the series as a whole, I enjoyed well enough, right? I would not buy a collected edition of this for myself, but I definitely think that if you trade weighted, it was probably the best thing to do, and also you'll probably enjoy it way more than people that read it month to month. So go ahead and go find yourself a copy of this. I think the hardcovers are about to come out here soon, or they just came out a few weeks ago. I can't remember exactly, but it is available for purchase relatively soon, and it should come out before the end of the year, right? So there you go. There really isn't too much else to say. Because there were so many fight scenes, there really wasn't any point in telling you exactly what was happening, so I didn't, which makes this come off quite shorter than it really was, but it was a pretty chunky issue. It was quite long, so there you go. That's it for Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong. Thank God, because I'm tired of that title, but I really did enjoy this book. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and see you guys later.